Boba, you're a hero and a faithful friend.
For almost 2 years, we were hyped up for Boba Fett in the upcoming Empire Strikes Back. And when we got it, we didn't get much action and not even much dialogue. And then, for Return of the Jedi, we got even less. So what's the deal? Why was Boba Fett so hyped up? What was the plan for Boba Fett? Did we get it, or was there something more planned? Let's take a closer look at the original plan for the Mandalorian himself, Boba Fett. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with a new video and trying not to shake this table because I know this is going to fall before the video's over. Want to bet? I bet you anything it's going to fall. I don't want a vintage Boba Fett to fall, so I'm trying to be really careful. Now, at the beginning of this video, I teased that this is the original Mandalorian. And I know I'm going to get some comments if I don't say it. Yes, he's not a Mandalorian now, but he was a Mandalorian back when Boba Fett first came out. In fact, let me write on Twitter. Hold on, guys. I know it's not fun to watch a grown man tweet, but it's better than watching a grown man do some other things. Trust me. Boba Fett, the original Mandalorian. Now, we'll check back at the end of this video to see who commented to let us know that Boba Fett isn't a Mandalorian. Believe me, it's Twitter. Someone's going to reply, and I'll be surprised if it's just one person. Now, what's the deal with this Boba Fett character? Many of us that grew up on the original Star Wars first discovered Boba Fett when he was on the back of the Kenner package, the first new figure from the new film Empire Strikes Back, and he shot a rocket off. But of course, when you got him, he didn't. You just got a note apologizing that he didn't. But we're not going to get into all that. When the kids were first introduced, it was either on the Kenner package, sending off with their free Boba Fett, and if you were a kid but you wasn't into the Star Wars toys, that even exists, then the other way you found out about Boba Fett was his appearance as a cartoon in the holiday special. People often say that's the only good part of the holiday special, but honestly, it's not even that good either. But it is a lot better than the rest of the show. Soon after appearing on the holiday special, Boba Fett started turning up at local parades and malls. Well, it wasn't the real Boba Fett, it was just someone dressed up like him. It was clear Lucasfilm, George Lucas, 20th Century Fox, and everyone in the making of The Empire Strikes Back was hyping up Boba Fett as the next big character in the film. I mean, look at him. How could kids not fall in love with this? You saw him on the back of the Kenner package and you just wanted to know more about him. 2 years before the movie's release, you were hyped up, wanting to learn more about Boba Fett. Sure, Darth Vader looked cool, but this was rad. Or I guess for the late 70s, this was groovy. But what happened? Did they hype up Boba Fett just to help sell tickets to The Empire Strikes Back? Well, that's unlikely. I mean, what Star Wars fan wasn't going to see Empire Strikes Back? No one went to see the movie just because they saw a cartoon in the holiday special of Boba Fett. So what was the deal with all this hype? After 2 years of hype, we finally got Boba Fett in a film, and he really didn't do much except stand around and did fire his gun one time. But look at him. He had a jetpack. He had weapons on his arms. He had a flamethrower. He had knives in his boots. I mean, there was so much we were going to get to see in the film, but we didn't. It almost felt like Empire Strikes Back was just more hype leading into something to come. As the free action figure hyped up Boba Fett and the holiday special hyped up Boba Fett even more, after seeing Empire Strikes Back, it felt like we were just getting more hype. This was leading to something big. What was going to happen to Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi? Then, finally, 3 years after Empire Strikes Back, we finally saw Boba Fett again. He had less screen time and less dialogue. After 5 years of hyping up Boba Fett, what did we get? He fell into the Sarlacc pit, and then we heard a big burp. So what's the deal? Why was there so much hype given into Boba Fett when he really turned out to do nothing? And don't get me wrong, I love Boba Fett. And although I'm sure there's a lot of newer fans that like Boba Fett also, I think for us that grew up in the original trilogy, the mystery of seeing him on the back of the Kenner package, and the holiday special, and the build-up to Empire Strikes Back has really formed us into our love of Boba Fett. A lot of people say, why do you love him? He didn't do anything in the films. Maybe he didn't do much, but when you look this cool, you don't have to do much at all. But let's get back to the original plan of Boba Fett. Why did they hype him up? what was the original plan for Boba Fett. For according to the first fan relation officer for Lucasfilm, Craig Miller, there was a lot more plans for Boba Fett. In fact, he was going to become the next big bad villain of the Star Wars saga. The plan was to hype him up before Empire, tease him a little bit more in Empire Strikes Back, and then the badass would take over as the best villain in Star Wars for Return of the Jedi. At that time, just being called Star Wars 3. But as you know from Star Wars history, we didn't get the Boba Fett that was planned. According to Craig Miller, Lucas's plan to do 12 Star Wars movies got cut down to 9. The original trilogy, then he would go to the prequel trilogy, and then come back for episodes 7 through 9, where he planned to have the final showdown between Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and the Emperor. But Craig Miller says while him and Lucas and others were in the mixing room, George Lucas told them all that he was going to end Star Wars after the 3rd movie. Lucas told them all that he lost interest in doing more Star Wars films. He said he didn't want to do any more big blockbuster movies and wanted to do more experimental type movies. This is something Lucas would echo years later when he sold the company to Disney. So going into the making of Return of the Jedi, Lucas had to take all his plans for episodes 3 through 9 and condense them into one film. His plan to end episode 9 with a face-off between Luke, Vader, and the Emperor had to be worked into Return of the Jedi. Doing this, there was no time to build up Boba Fett as the next villain. Craig Miller says one of the original plans for the 3rd Star Wars movies would have the heroes trying to track down Boba Fett and rescue Han Solo. Now they couldn't spend a whole movie doing that in this one, so they had to condense the rescuing of Han Solo to the beginning of the film. So the whole thing of Boba Fett becoming the next bad villain had to be scrapped. Did Boba Fett die in the Sarlacc pit? Of course there's been many comic books and novels written about that, but even Lucas commented on the DVD commentary for Return of the Jedi that he thought about adding a scene years later to Return of the Jedi showing Boba Fett crawling out of the Sarlacc pit. But he said he felt that would kind of tease new viewers of the film that Boba Fett would show up later in the movie. So he scrapped that whole plan. He also says in that DVD commentary that if he knew at the time of Return of the Jedi that Boba Fett would become such a fan favorite, he wouldn't have killed him off so easily and gave him more of a hero's death. Or I guess in this case, a villain's death. Lucas even told Jonathan Razzler when working on the Making of Star Wars book that Boba Fett did escape the Sarlacc pit. Lucas didn't see the expanded universe stuff as canon, but even Lucas agreed Boba Fett didn't die in the Sarlacc pit. Although we really don't know the details of what Boba Fett would have been, we can see early on that Lucas was toying with some ideas. In the book Skywalking, they talked to Lucas's ex-wife, who told him Lucas was planning to make Darth Vader and Boba Fett brothers. But Lucas ended up scratching that plan, finding it too hokey. Can you imagine that? Boba Fett, Darth Vader as brothers. Now that's a prequel I would like to see. The Vader brothers, or the Fett brothers. Still, seems like a cool movie. One's got a lightsaber, and the other one's got a flamethrower. Although there were bigger plans for Boba Fett, I have to say I kinda like that we didn't get it. Part of the love for Boba Fett is the mystery of Boba Fett, starting from being a kid seeing it on the back of the package, wanting to know more about that cool outfit, who's under the mask, and who is Boba Fett, and then the holiday special making us want more Boba Fett, and then getting so little of him in the films. It kind of just added to the mystery of Boba Fett, and I think that made a lot of us love Boba Fett for the next 40 years. Now, let's check back into Twitter and see who commented on my tweet saying Boba Fett is a Mandalorian, because he was a Mandalorian, at least in the early days. According to Super Good Pixel, he wasn't a good one though. I saw his face. I guess you did see his face in the prequels, but that's before he donned the mask. But maybe you see his face in some of that cartoon junk. According to Darth Fowles, does last night's episode make him a Mandalorian again? Not really sure what he means by that one. I mean, Boba Fett's not even in the Mandalorian. So, not really sure about that one. Razolf, hope I said that right, Razolf Rainbow said he was never a Mandalorian though. Knew someone was going to say it. And Richard writes in, okay, maybe not, but he was the offspring of Jango Fett, who was an inhabitor of Conquer Dawn, a Mandalorian world. And Boba Fett fan club chimed in, who has to know that he was at one time a Mandalorian, writes in the original who famously wears Mandalorian armor. Then he gives a link to his Boba Fett fan club page. If you've never seen the Boba Fett fan club page, check it out. If you love Boba Fett, you'll love that website. Trust me. And Darth Jar Jar writes in, apparently Mandalorian isn't a race now. Do Jango and Boba Fett get welcomed back into the fold as a legit Mandalorians? I don't know what you're talking about, Dark Jar Jar, but I don't read all the EU and all that stuff, so it's me being dumb, not you. But that was fun. I knew someone was going to chime in and say he's not a Mandalorian, but from what I remember as a kid, Boba Fett was a Mandalorian. Never even heard the word until I heard Boba Fett. I mean, everything I heard about Boba Fett as a kid, it was about him being a Mandalorian. Well, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot more about Boba Fett, and who knows, maybe you learned a lot more about yourself. Till the next video, please thumb up this one and subscribe to the channel. And in the comments below, let me know why you love Boba Fett, or why you hate him. And are you surprised as me that none of this fell while I was making this video? Let's cut the camera off before I jinx myself. Till the next video, we will talk again.
We'll meet again, friend.